She's just kind of an all-American girl. I was shocked beyond belief. It's not that it's so easy to remember. It's just so hard to forget. Was there some double life? Was she involved in something no one knew about? Everything that she ever did in her life she became obsessed with. One of the amazing things about the medical examiner's job is that you see the bad side of everybody. All the dirty stuff that they didn't want people to know about. Every murder is a mystery, but a victim's body is a sea of evidence. Every fiber is a clue. Every wound a piece of the puzzle. The medical examiner holds the key to unlock their stories and catch a killer. This is Secrets of the Morgue. Mobile is a wonderful city. If you had to describe it in one word, friendly would be a very applicable description. The University of South Alabama is academically very tough school to go to. Crimes just didn't occur as often as in other parts. They had security guards who wrote some parking tickets and that was basically it. One Saturday morning, staff and students come together for something much darker than academics. It was spread everywhere that this particular student, Katherine Foster, was missing. Katherine Foster is a great student, very respected, very popular. The mobile police got involved, the campus government got involved, and so they've got people from all over the campus who joined together and just did a walkover of the campus. They started close around where Katherine normally was, her room, her dorm area, and then expanded from there. There was a wooded area several hundred yards from the dorms. 150 feet from the paved road, one of the participants saw something ahead as they were walking and got fairly close and realized it was a body. One of the friends identified her. This is Katherine. She just looked like she had walked out there and laid down on the ground. It's one of those things that just sticks with you. It's not that it's so easy to remember. It's just it's so hard to forget. This is an 18-year-old female on the campus of the University of South Alabama. And now she's laying here dead. Why? Detective Williams works with Dr. Gary Cumberland to help discover what happened to Katherine Foster. Ironically, I was at our facility, here at the campus. I was actually doing my fellowship in forensics. My supervisor at the time was Dr. Leroy Riddick. Dr. Riddick takes the lead as medical examiner on the case with Dr. Cumberland assisting. Dr. Riddick and I both had this compulsion to do a good job on everything we did and be thorough. One of Dr. Reich's principles was, absolutely do not touch the body. So no one had touched the body. No one had moved it. She was laying on her back. Immediately, it was obvious that she had had 2 gunshot wounds to her head there. One of them was an indeterminate range gunshot wound, which means that the barrel of the gun was far enough away that there wasn't any powder stippling around it. The other one was a closer range, almost contact wound. This appears to be a professional hit job. It's not a robbery. It's not random. It's not spew off the moment in a confrontation. There's a story behind an execution-style killing. All the reports we had was she was such a fine person, Christian person. She was doing nothing that should have put her in this position. But yet here she is dead. Katherine is a great student. She's pursuing a physical therapy degree, so she's serious about college and making the most of it. She was very involved in her church, the parents very involved in the local school where they knew everybody. When a young person goes away to college, they often begin to lead a much more independent life, and parents are often in the dark when it comes to how that person is leading their life. Folks who come from a very strict religious upbringing are often very quick to hide different parts of themselves from their family members. There was an effort put into trying to really do a good background on Katherine Foster. Was she involved in any altruistic behavior? Was she dealing with drug dealers? Doctors Riddick and Cumberland begin to analyze Katherine's body, looking for answers. It's one of the amazing things about the medical examiner's job is that you see the bad side of everybody. All the dirty stuff that they didn't want people to know about. We run toxicology on everybody. If you don't run it, then you don't know whether she is addicted to some certain type of drug, and that was what caused all the involvement. While investigators await the toxicology results, they interview Katherine's family to uncover a possible motive. Katherine is the last person her family would ever expect to have someone hate her or to have any kind of conflict that might have led to something like this. Katherine's friends are also interviewed. She had her one great friend Tish, who she knew very well from high school, and her friend Jamie. Essentially, these young girls living a pretty innocent life. They're worried. They're kind of overwhelmed. We couldn't establish any criminal contact or anything that would have resulted in some professional hitman coming to Mobile and killing Katherine Foster. The results from the toxicology tests on Katherine come back. Her toxicology screen was basically negative. She hadn't been drinking. There are no drugs of abuse in her system. So, it tells you that she wasn't under the control of any of illegal substances or alcohol. So, she probably had her wits about her when all this occurred. She had a group of friends just living a normal life. She was not putting herself in the way of danger. To find her, murder just steps away from her dorm, just was baffling. And what was the motive here? This particular one seemed almost motiveless. Police consider if sexual assault could have been the trigger for this shocking crime. We start going over the external surfaces to look for any signs of an interaction with some force in the environment. Her clothing is not in disarray. There was no evidence that she had had a violent altercation with someone. There was no evidence of any type of sexual involvement. A model student and perfect daughter vanishes and is then discovered executed. For the detectives, nothing makes sense. One of the most confusing, one of the most frustrating things about it was to try to figure a motive. But this young lady's life was taken from her in a very brutal way. Somebody should pay for taking Katherine's life. Detectives can't find a motive in the murder of Katherine Foster. In order to make sense of what little information they have police focus on when she disappeared. One of the things that we did, we established a timeline for everybody involved in the case. They interview Katherine's friends, Tish Consolini and Jamie Kellum. We had determined that a Thursday morning Jamie and Katherine Tissy, they were going grocery shopping. Katherine and Jamie are to meet Tish at the car. Jamie reported that Katherine made this statement. "I forgot something. I will go get it and I will meet you at your car." Jamie tells us that Katherine leaves and she goes to her car to wait. But because so many years have passed, investigators feel they need new evidence to close the case. We need another type of scientific backing to say that, in fact, Katherine could her body have been out in those woods for 48 hours. 20 years after the murder of Katherine Foster, investigators discover a discrepancy in her time of death. Now, Dr. Cumberland needs to corroborate the findings so police can charge their suspect. University of Tennessee, Knoxville. They have a place they call the body farm. And it was perfect because here was a situation that wasn't available back in the early 80s that now they could use. They've set up an area on the outside of the city and then officers who are trying to solve a case based on time of death. They come up to the body farm and they give them all the variables they have and then they get a body that matches as closely as possible to the individual who died. The body farm takes a woman's body just like Katherine's and leaves it in a forested area for 48 hours. The wind was blowing. The blowflies just didn't get access to it like they normally would. And so as a result there, very few of them had laid their eggs. And that throws you off because if you're used to having cases where in 24 hours they're really going to town on it and then you've got a body that's just got a few. It looks like they're just starting, then you think it can't be that long. We keep track of it over time to see how fast the decomposition occurs and what it looks like over those time frames. And when they did that, it fit the 48 hours exactly. Dr. Cumberland's findings now prove that Katherine was killed 2 days before she was found. Katherine had been killed immediately from the time that she went missing, that she had been shot and killed, was actually laying in those woods the whole time. It took us going to the body farm and actually just physically looking at a body out in the woods to see that it was possible. But there is still one other question to be resolved from the timeline in 1980. The shots that were heard on Saturday night. The young lady in the dorm heard the 2 gunshots, but 2 security officers were on duty, and they both reported hearing what they thought was fireworks. Apparently had some problems with kids setting off fireworks in that area. The report of 2 a.m. gunshots I dismissed. Police confirmed Jamie's confession is true. I was at the point in my career where very few things shocked me, but I was shocked beyond belief that Jamie was the one that was responsible for Catherine's murder. Going into this, everyone had this wonder, is it the boogeyman? Somebody out of the darkness? It's not a boogeyman. It's someone who knew her. It's someone you would least expect, who was right there amongst everyone all the time. Investigators put out an arrest warrant for Jamie. We learned that Jamie was in a halfway house. We drove to the halfway house. She was literally standing right by the driveway. I walked up to her, confirmed that she was Jamie, and we arrested her right there. And she was very emotional, actually. She even said to us that it was a little bit of a relief and that she wanted to talk to us. She wanted to tell us everything. Jamie's motive for killing her best friend has to do with one of the original suspects in the case, Catherine's boyfriend. Jamie actually portrayed to her family that Tom was her boyfriend. She had gotten a hold of some pictures of Tom. She showed them to her family saying this was her boyfriend. Everything that she ever did in her life became over-the-top obsessed with and just went to extremes about. On January 16, 2010, Jamie Kellum is convicted and sentenced to life in prison. The investigation proved that she did it. The science proved that she did it. And that was more than enough for the jury. And then afterwards, being able to honestly just embrace that family and them thank you for helping provide some sort of justice for them. There's nothing like that in the world. The job that the me did, it was a professional. It was a complete, it was total. He did everything that he could do. The science and the diligence that was expended resulted in the ability to then get the conviction in 2010. Katherine Foster's family. They've lost their daughter. And I suspect that even after all those years, they have not gotten beyond it. That's weighed on their hearts all those years. Now that at least they know what happened and they have an answer. Finally, justice is served.